or at the PDF. All right, so we're going to talk about proofing. Full screen. Okay. Oh, there we go. We're going to talk about proofing, and this is in the back of your Ellen Lupton book. So what I'm going to go over today is in the back of your book, and so if you have that nearby, it's right near the end of the book. So feel free to open your book and kind of follow along in your book. So proofreading. What we're going to be doing is looking at each other's designs, and I'm going to zoom in and kind of walk us through some of the key marks. There's a lot of marks here, so you kind of have all of them, but we're going to just kind of key in on some of the basic ones that we're going to be using. And the first one is delete. So whenever we have something in a layout that should not be there, it could be an extra word, it could be a double word, an element or an item that is necessary. It's not only just a line through it, but it adds this little tail. And that little tail kind of references delete. It's like a little pigtail, I like to think of. And so if it's a word within a sentence, just a vertical line through it, but I feel people also put the little tail on the end of it. And you can see up here, it says mark and margin. So not only do you delete in the actual paragraph where the text is, but you're going to also mark to the side to the side that you're doing a deletion. Now, sometimes we get going and we realize, and this is more on a hard copy, we're going to be working on a digital board, so it'll be very easy to delete a mark if we want to. But a lot of times you're doing this and in a pen on a piece of paper. And in that case, you might have deleted something and then you're like, oh, wait, I didn't mean to do that. And if that happens, so if you've drawn a little delete sign and you may, I don't mean to do that, you just put dotted line underneath it. And it's real important to include the word STED, S-T-E-D, STED. That means let it stand. I didn't mean to delete that. It was a mistake. And so that's an important word, and that's a new vocabulary word to use, STED. Now, anytime you need to insert a character, you need to add a little upside down V, and then you usually put the letter or the element that needs to be there right above. And then you indicate what it is that you need there. Like maybe it's a period that was forgotten, or a comma, or a punctuation of some sort. That's usually, or maybe it's a quotation mark. And then you put what it is. Sometimes we're looking at line lengths that are getting too long. And you might see that you have created in your column, you have one line of text that's maybe going beyond the column, or it's going too wide. So if that's happening, you want to start a new paragraph and you want to move that line over and this little L shape, and then use the paragraph symbol. And you know the paragraph symbol because we use that whenever we're showing the show hidden characters in InDesign. It always shows us where the paragraphs, those are hard returns. So wherever there's a hard return is a paragraph. Insert punctuation, same thing. You would do the upside down V, and you can, and in this case, they're showing you put it under the little V. I'm going to tell you, I find people doing it in both ways, putting it under and sometimes over. So I've seen it used both ways. I don't think people use that as religiously as they do others. So there's a lot of these are right. Oops, went too far. When I zoom in, it wants to go too far. There we go. Now I can zoom in. Oop. There we go. Zoom in again. A couple other key ones that I think you'll use more than others. Oh my goodness. Come on, work with me here. All right, I think I've hit the button too many times. Any questions so far? While I'm waiting for this to catch up to me. And you'll probably have more as we get into it and are starting to work together with it. But I'm just kind of highlighting some of the key, and then we'll keep this. You have this available, this PDF available that you can have in front of you as you start working on this in your groups. I'm going to stop screen sharing for just a second. I don't know if that's why it's having such a problem. So I'm doing too many things. Let's see if that's what I can. There we go. That fixed it. Okay. That was it. Didn't like to do too many things at once. Okay, there we go. We're back. Okay, a couple key things are capitalization. You might see that there's a lowercase letter where there should be a capital. That's 3 lines underneath and the word cap in the margin. Or the word is all capital and it's not consistent. So for example, maybe there's a subhead that is all capital in one place and everywhere else it's sentence case. If that's happening, you would just put a cross lines out over the all cap word and put LC for lowercase. Small caps, 2 horizontal lines underneath it to say change this to small caps, again for consistency, and then a squiggly line for bold, font, circle Roman, and then wrong font. Now this is something that's very common. What is, everyone remember what the default typeface is in InDesign? Who can tell me? When we open InDesign, what's the default typeface? Can you say it one more time? Minion. Yep, Stephanie. Yep, Minion. Minion is what it is. And so sometimes if we forgot to select a paragraph style or a character style, we might randomly just find a subhead or a word or something here or there. That's Minion. So if you see Minion on your page, you circle it and do WF for wrong font. Okay. And that's real common because it means we just forgot to select our paragraph style. Letter spacing is another big one you're going to be watching for as you're proofreading. So look at tracking. Okay, we're going to be reviewing tracking. And is the tracking real consistent as we're going through? Is there extra spaces? Is one part of the sentence really tightly set and another really loosely set? So just check and make sure that the letter spacing feels very consistent. If it's not, circle the area that's not consistent and then do LS for letter spacing. The other big one we're going to be looking at are spaces. Spaces, we use the hash mark. And so hash mark references space. And so if someone forgot a space between 2 words, you would put a hash mark and a line to show where the space goes. Or if we need to reduce the space, you can either use the word less or a lot of times people use a positive or a negative, a plus or a minus. So minus hash mark equals minus space, plus hash mark means plus space. And we'll talk a little bit more about that. Flush right, flush left. Sometimes, again, if we forget to use our paragraph styles, we might be looking at all of the instructions copy, and something might be, they might all be flush right, except one might be accidentally flush left. So if the alignment is inconsistent, we want to indicate if it should be flush right or flush left. Or indented, if there's indents in everywhere, but then they're missing an indent, or there's an indent where there shouldn't be. Alignments are another big thing. Are things aligned vertically and horizontally? And we'll use two lines to indicate. In other words, is this picture and this box of copy aligned correctly? Are they off? Is a picture or is the type off? In other words, are we not on the baseline grid? We want to show that we want to align correctly with the vertical two lines and the horizontal two lines. So those are the big ones that you want to think about. And then on the right here, you can see it in action. So here's an example of a layout with the proofing notes in action. And so you can see the marks are all done in red. So I do want you to choose red or orange or a bright color. It doesn't have to be red, but it's helpful to have it be a bright color. Unless there is type that's red on the page, then maybe you don't use red, maybe use orange if it's a different, depending on the design you're proofing. And then you'll see in the margin here are all the notes in addition to the marks in the copy. And so what you want to do, and I recommend, is have your proofing notes open on your screen as we open up our mural boards. So you have this next to you and you can refer to it as we're going along. So without further ado, let's jump over to Mural. And has everyone had a chance to, I'm going to stop